All right, I'm going to call this meeting to order of the Mayor and Commissioners for Tuesday, April 28th, 2015. Will you rise with me for the Pledge of Allegiance, please? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Would you bow your heads with me for a moment of silence? Today we are going to do a moment of silence for the City of Baltimore and the Baltimore City Police Department and the Baltimore Fire Department. Our thoughts and prayers are with the City of Baltimore and all those that are affected by the riots and tragedy that have happened over the past 2 days. Thank you. First thing on the agenda is the approval of minutes from the April 14th, 2015 town meeting. Can I get a motion to approve these minutes?
I move we approve the minutes.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Passes. Thank you. The next thing on the agenda is public presentations. We actually do have a public presentation. It was a last-minute addition, and that is the month of May is Tourism Month. So we are going to be doing a tourism proclamation for the month of May. And it says, whereas the travel and tourism industry in the town of Rising Sun, Cecil County, and the state of Maryland is vital to our economic stability and growth, and it contributes to our quality of life. And whereas every citizen of the town of Rising Sun benefits from our tourism assets and from the money that is spent here by travelers. And whereas the Cecil County tourism industry has generated $152 million in expenditures last year, to include the creation of 2,400 jobs for our citizens and $22 million in state and local taxes. And whereas it is fitted and proper to participate in this county-wide effort to promote all the communities of Cecil County and to officially recognize the month of May as Tourism Month in the town of Rising Sun. Now therefore, I, Travis Marion, Mayor of the town of Rising Sun, and on behalf of Town Commissioners Auchenreath, Scully, Walker, and Warnick, do hereby proclaim May the 1st through the 31st as Rising Sun Tourism Month. And we call upon all our citizens to take pride in our local town and county tourism attractions and celebrate the significant positive impact that tourism dollars have on all of us. And witness therefore, and on behalf of the Board of Commissioners of the town of Rising Sun, I've set my hand on this on April the 28th, 2015. I spoke to Commissioner Warnick. We're going to be doing a few things during Tourism Month in the month of May. Especially on social media and on our website to promote the town of Rising Sun. I'm very excited about what is going to be coming forth in the month of May. The next thing on the agenda is citizens' input.
I have a question. You skipped the executive session and there was one yesterday.
Oh, you're right. Calvin, there was an executive session. Do we have the reporting of that one?
No, we don't. It was just last night. If you give me a second, I can grab it.
Okay, sure.
So we
We'll
go
move
back
forward
to-
into citizens' input. And there are no speakers tonight. Would anyone like to speak? Okay. Chief? Yeah, I did.
Change.
Yeah, sure.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Commissioners. I was away last week, so my report's going to be pretty much non-existent. We did respond to over 208 calls from the for the last 2-week period. There isn't anything that stands out as far as trends or current crime sprees. What I would like to bring to your attention is on April 23rd, 2015, Governor Hogan signed into law it's the body camera bill, but according to the way it's presented, it's body-worn digital recording device and electronic control device exceptions. which means that now law enforcement officers do not have to comply to those wiretap regulations that were holding us back before. With that being said, it's now to the point that we can move forward with our body camera program. You'll be getting a copy of the most recent quote, and we can review that, talk about it, and see where we can go with that. With that being said, unless there's any additional questions, that is my report for tonight.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Town Administrator, are you okay to go with the reporting of the executive session?
Yes, I am.
Okay, go ahead.
I apologize for not having this for you. It's sitting down on my desk here. The mayor and commissioners met in executive session on April 27th, 2015 at 6:30 p.m. on the second floor of the town hall. A motion to open the meeting was made by Commissioner Warnick, seconded by Commissioner Scully. Members in attendance was Mayor Marion, Alan Arthurweith, George Walker, Dave Warnick, and Jennifer Scully. The vote to go into open the meeting was unanimous. A motion to hold an executive session was made by Commissioner Arthurweith, seconded by Commissioner Walker. That vote passed 4-0. The purpose for the meeting was to, in accordance to the Open Meetings Act, was to discuss personnel. The topics at the meeting was generally employee issues, employee conduct. The persons in attendance at the meeting was Town Administrator Calvin A. Bonenberger Jr. A motion was made by Commissioner Warnick, seconded by Commissioner Arthurweith, to leave executive session. A motion was made by Commissioner Scully, seconded by Commissioner Warnick, to adjourn the meeting, and the meeting was adjourned at 8:30 p.m. The other thing that I wanted to bring to people's attention, and you're going to see it in the notices now, there have been some presentation changes to the Open Meetings Act. And what I mean by that is the intent of the act is the same, all the rules are the same, but if you remember, I used to talk all the time, Article 10 of the Open Meetings Act, that has now been, the name of the Open Meetings Act has now been switched to Title III, and it's called Governmental Provisions Article, subsection 3-302, and then your list of the 14 reasons why you can go into executive session. Basically, the number has changed. So basically, they moved it from one part of the Maryland Code to another part of the Maryland Code, but the procedures that we have to follow are the same. So we're in transition and making sure that we're properly referencing all those sections. And so again, I apologize for not having it, but that is the executive session report.
Do you want to continue into your Town Administrator report?
I mean, generally speaking, as we all know, we're into a lot of things right now between sewer, water, the weather's breaking. I haven't had a chance to completely update Commissioner Arthurweith on this, but we had the contractor go out to Ryan Drive to dig down to locate the buttresses that we always talk about, which again, as a recap, typically when you lay a water line or any kind of line, you make changes of directions using fittings or elbows, and they might be a 22-degree fitting, a 45-degree fitting, or a 90-degree fitting. But when you're dealing with water lines of that length, you can actually, instead of making an abrupt turn, you can make a gradual turn by basically putting the PVC pipe in the ground at one location, securing it, and then literally taking a pipe bar or something and bending it in the trench, and then having adequate backfill behind it. You can make a gradual arch in your line. So if you go up on Ryan Drive, what we like to call the half cul-de-sacs, the little knuckles, when you go up to the end of Ryan Drive, there's a half cul-de-sac, we call it the knuckle. The bend was long and consistent through there, so the engineers, when they did the development, basically required them to pour these concrete buttresses, which basically they're not going to rely on holding that pipe back by just the ground itself. They're going to pour concrete around it. So we wanted to inspect those things to make sure, as we're determining what the extent of Ryan Drive is, damage is, and how we need to correct it, we need to determine whether or not we're going to have an issue with the water line. And again, I emphasize it for this reason. The amount of money that we're going to spend to fix that area is going to have, 5 zeros behind it easily. Whether it's $100,000, 200, 300, it's going to be a considerable chunk of money. And when we repair that road, we want to make sure that it's essentially done and good for another 20, 30 years. And so if we have, let's arguably say we have $200,000 of repair, we don't want to inadvertently not pay attention to something now that's going to require us to dig it up in another couple of years. So when you think about it, when you build a street or a development, they usually plan them for 30 years, essentially. Everybody says, oh, it'll be good for 30 years. Well, we're at that 30-year mark. So if we're going to spend a sizable chunk of money, we want to make sure that we get at least another 30 years out of some of that stuff. And that's, the same concept we're using with Commissioner Oppenreith's initiative to have the engineer come in and evaluate all our streets, is to make sure that before we spend $500,000 of paving the streets, that we make sure we don't have an issue with the water lines and sewer lines underneath, so we're not tearing that investment up in years to come. So we've been spending a lot of time on that. We've been spending some time on building permits have picked up a lot. If you recall, a couple of weeks ago, one of the residents came in and was concerned about our building permit process, and hopefully we got that all resolved. But we've had a couple other building permit issues that have come up with some confusion with some residents. And the one thing I want to go on record, and I'm sure the elected body feels that way too, is that we are trying to help people. Yes, public safety issues have to be addressed. We have to follow the code for a variety of reasons, not just because it's a code, but it ultimately protects the property owner. It can have an impact on your homeowner's insurance. If you have a claim in your house, insurance companies and parties are always trying to get out of paying your insurance claim. And so, for instance, if you put a hot water heater in your house and you don't get a permit for that, there are some areas, I'm not saying it's in Rising Sun, there are some insurance companies that when your hot water heater ruptures, the first thing they will do is call to see if you got a building permit to put it in, because they're looking for a way to say it's not our fault on that. So that's one of the other reasons for code enforcement. And one of the things that we're seeing, it's amazing how things run in pairs and triplets. But if you remember at that meeting a couple of weeks ago, one of the biggest issues was the handicap accessibility. And I can't say enough about, and I tell people this all the time, handicap accessibility issues is different than building code issues. And what I mean by that is I had a conversation with Dr. Sanchez, who's opening up the pediatrician's office because there's an issue that's not being resolved. And so, as some of the commissioners know, I gave him a warning letter saying that I'm not going to be able to issue the certificate of occupancy for your doctor's office if these things are not addressed. What we're trying to do here differently is we're not trying to show up on that final day when the moving van's ready to go and say, you have a problem, you should have listened to the letter we sent you. We are tracking these things, and when there's an issue, we're trying to give them a heads up ahead of time. So we had a wonderful conversation with Dr. Sanchez today. He understands what the issue is, and I'm confident we're going to get it resolved. But for instance, if you look around this room and you see an exit sign over Commissioner Walker's head, that's there because there's a code requirement. It's in the building code and it's in the fire code. And if the town of Rising Sun does not make that entity put that exit sign in, People can get mad. They can make an argument if something ever happens, well, the exit sign should have been there, but they would have to prove willful negligence on the part of the town of Rising Sun or the individual, being the code officer, a willful negligence to ignore that responsibility. But it's a code issue. When you're talking about handicap accessibility, you're talking about civil liberties violations. And now if you don't put ADA requirements in, you're basically taking away the civil liberties of people to be able to go to a store, go to a restaurant, go to a business, and not be able to move about in the building. It also creates situations where somebody could apply for a job, but they can't accept the job because of certain functions that the world says should be ADA accessible, like being a receptionist in a doctor's office. You can have somebody who's in a wheelchair be a receptionist in a doctor's office. And if you're going to say that you want your staff to have a separate bathroom than the general public, then all the bathrooms have to be ADA accessible. And we're running into some issues who have the belief that some individuals who have the belief that the ADA requirement is only for the general populace, and it's not. And so if the town or myself or anybody else for that matter just waives that requirement, you as an individual can be held for civil liberties violations. So that exposes the code officer to civil liberties violations and each individual member of the board. And that becomes very costly. In other words, if you don't put the exit sign up, there isn't a united federation of exit sign people coming to beat on your door to say, why don't you have an exit sign? But there are legitimate claims of handicapped people saying, why can't I access this? And it is a real concern. So when I'm holding the line on these ADA issues, I'm doing it to protect the liability of the town, yes, to protect my own liability, but also to protect that unsuspecting property owner or business owner who's mortgaged their house to open up a business. They're relying on a contractor who might not want to do something, and the next thing they know, they've got themselves in the middle of a civil liberties violation because they got bad information. So we're holding the line on that stuff, and we've ran into a string of 3 ADA issues here with some projects that are going on that we're trying to work through. What I'm assuring you as elected officials, and I've always said this, we're not walking around with the code book and saying, well, that's what the code says, too bad, you have to accept it. We are trying to work with people. Another property owner today, which is sort of a no-no in code enforcement, I met with them and I talked to their architect and their builder about how they can resolve this ADA issue. Because the bottom line is, we want those businesses coming into town. It's no benefit to us to make it impossible. So there are some unhappy campers out there, but I just want you to know why that's being done. So that concludes my report.
Thank you, Town Administrator. Historical Preservation Commission, any report?
The terms of the appointed board members to the Historic Commission have expired. They were last appointed in February of 2013 for a 2-year term, and so those terms have expired. It is this board's responsibility to appoint 2 members to the board of directors of the Historic Commission, and we would appreciate it if you would do it as quickly as possible.
Thank you.
May I ask a question?
Sure, go ahead.
Are the people whose terms have expired, have they expressed an interest in continuing?
I don't know.
Okay.
Thank you. We'll move forward into the mayor's report. My report's pretty brief. I want to say a big thank you to individuals who have volunteered in our community, especially this past weekend, from Stevens Road to Tome Highway to Rising Sun High School and Veterans Community Park and Plumpton Park Zoo. They have done an outstanding job of volunteering their time to help clean up the Rising Sun community. I took part in a cleanup at Veterans Community Park with Commissioner Warnick and some volunteers from the Octorara Watershed and Morse Chapel. And there is a significant amount of trash back there. I know Commissioner Warnick will probably talk about this a little bit, but there are years and years and years of using it as a dumping ground, and there's significant amounts of waste that we need to remove before we open it up for a trail section. I also wanted to say that we are coming to the end of the Mayor's Essay Contest. I got a ginormous stack today of essays from Conowingo Elementary School, and they have heard that we're getting ready to do something special with Rising Sun Elementary School along with Chief Peterson, and we're going to hopefully be able to do that for Conowingo Elementary School as well once I'm able to pick a winner from that stack. Also is the fact that we had volunteers come out this past Sunday. Commissioner Warnick may speak about this again, but I was contacted by a boys basketball team, which is called the Tiger Town Ambush, and they wanted to give back to our community and sort of do a team building exercise. So they spent the day along with myself, and Commissioner Warnick was there off and on because he was working with a Boy Scout project as well. But they were able to repaint and resurface the swing sets at Diddy Richardson Park, along with painting a picnic table and a bench. It looks fantastic down there. The kids did an excellent job, and I thank them so much for volunteering their time. With that said, we will move forward into any old business.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I believe this may fall under old business.
Okay.
We have got a resolution on an open meetings compliance board complaint. I'll just kind of read the letter out as it is. The Honorable Travis Marion, Town of Rising Sun, regarding Open Meetings Act complaint, Mayor and Board of Town Commissioners of Rising Sun, Roger Lamb complainant. Dear Mayor Marion, enclosed, please find the compliance board opinion of this matter. It was CC'd to Mr. Lamb, Mr. Jack Gallo, Town Attorney, and the Open Meetings Compliance Board. So this is the official opinion of the Compliance Board 232, the year 2015, regarding Mayor and Board of Commissioners of Rising Sun. April 9th, 2015, in a letter to the Office of the Attorney General and to us, Roger Lamb, complainant, makes a number of complaints about his efforts to acquire from the Town of Rising Sun certain information about public business. Here we will only address the allegations that relate to the Open Meetings Act. We do so because the Act only authorizes us to consider complaints that the Act has been violated. We thus lack the authority to address the statement in the letter that bears on other matters, such as complainant's allegations about the town's Public Information Act practices. Accordingly, our staff asked the town to respond to the allegations that the Planning and Zoning Commission has not made minutes available for its recent meetings, and that the Board of Commissioners do not give adequate notice of their meetings. With respect to the Planning and Zoning Commission meetings for recent meetings, the town attorney states the minutes are not posted on the town's website, but are available to anyone who requests them, and further, the complainant did not request them. He also explains that the Planning and Zoning Commission adopts the minutes of each meeting at the next meeting, and he points out, as we have often, that the Act does not require public bodies to post their minutes online. In answer to our staff's questions about how often the Commission meets, he conveyed his understanding that it usually meets monthly. So the Commission keeps minutes, adopts them promptly, and makes them available. It has therefore not violated the Act's provision on minutes. We turn next to complainant's allegations. The Board of Commissioners has not posted adequate notice of its meetings, and has not posted agendas in advance, and has not permitted public comment. By the way, on before it says our authority is spelled out in 3-204 through 3-213 of the General Provisions article. The Act can be accessed through the Attorney General's website by following the Open Government link to the heading for the open meetings information. If anybody wants that URL, I guess it's www.oag.state.md.us/index.htm. The citation in this opinions are to that article. So, although complainant, yeah, it's on the video. Although the complainant did not identify a deficiency in the notice given for any particular meeting, we asked the town to respond to that allegation, and the town attorney provided us with a description of the town's notices practices. We do not find a violation in that regard. We also do not find any violation regarding the posting of agendas because the Act does not require public bodies to post agendas. That would change if House Bill 583, now pending in the General Assembly, is enacted. It proposes such a requirement. As for the public comment, the Act entitles the public to observe the conduct of public business, see 3-102 and 3-303, but it does not regulate presiding officer's decision as to whether members of the public may speak during a meeting. We will add some guidance on how public bodies might avoid the complainant to that sometimes arise when a member of the public does not see a meeting document on the public body's website. We do so because we are increasingly seeing complaints from people who have inferred from the absence of a meeting notice or minutes on a public body's website that the public body failed to give notice or adopt minutes. People are particularly apt to reach those inferences, accurately or not, when a public body's website provides meeting information for some of its related public bodies but not others. Likewise, posting complete information for only some of the related public bodies can lead to speculation about the motives behind the public body's choice of what it puts on its website. See e.g. 8 OMCB Opinions 76 and 83, 2012, noting the appearance that can be given by a public body's choice of the meeting information that it posts online. One way to guard against unfounded suspicions that might be to post an explanation of what the public can expect to find or not on the website. Another, when resources allow, is to simply post all of the meeting information the same way. We do not know whether such measures would have addressed this complainant's doubts, but the town's website provides the meeting dates and minutes of the meetings of the Board of Commissioners, but as far as we could tell, not the meeting notices and minutes of Planning and Zoning Commission. In sum, we have not found the town violated the act, and we lack the authority to address the other matters asserted by the complainant. Open Meetings Compliance Board and the Monica J. Johnson, Esquire, Wanda Martinez, Esquire, and Mamantha S. Pouch, Esquire. Thank you.
Any more old business? Any new business? Hearing none. I did want to say before we move into commissioner comments, I know I speak for the entire Board of Commissioners when we say that our thoughts and prayers are with Ron Thomas, myself and Commissioner Walker, Commissioner Warnick, and our town administrator along with the chief attended the viewing and funeral of his daughter who passed away last week. So our thoughts and prayers are with Ron and his family. Moving forward into commissioner comments, Commissioner Altenreith.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As Calvin said, the work is continuing with KCI. Phase 1 of their road evaluation was completed, and we met 2 weeks ago today, as a matter of fact, to go over that, to tie up any loose ends, any streets they may have missed. And it was myself, Calvin, Ron Thomas, and Todd Frey from KCI. So they did find some streets they've got to go back and look at, but they are out this week doing some sidewalk evaluation, which is phase 2 of the plan. Also, they're going to be videoing some storm drains and evaluating storm drains also, so residents can look, and if they see guys out walking up and down their street measuring stuff, don't be afraid to ask them who they are and what they're doing. If they're from KCI Engineering, they're doing, like I said, starting phase 2 of the evaluation. As Calvin explained, there's the work up on Ryan Drive is still continuing. That is an emergency situation up there and has took precedence over a lot of other things right now, because we could have a lot of families without water if we don't stay on top of that situation up there and get ahead of it, which we are right now. So it has held up a couple other things we're doing, and just want to remind everybody, be patient, because we don't have people waiting around to do building permits and certain other things as they come in right away. This has been going on for 2 months now up on Ryan Drive. Big job, a lot of money, but we've saved a lot of money by doing a lot of this work in-house. So that's all I have tonight, sir.
Thank you, Commissioner Altenreith. Commissioner Scully.
I don't have a report tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Walker.
The wastewater treatment plant construction is proceeding along with a tentative startup date of July 13th. We had a meeting 2 weeks ago with potential operators of the plant, and they have submitted proposals to us. which we and the town engineer are reviewing. We will be making a decision on that. The board will be making a decision on that within the month, probably. There is a meeting tomorrow with Chester Water about the water line. I won't be able to attend that, but the town administrator will be there. And the board is going to get tired of hearing me say this, and with Commissioner Auchenreith talking about all the money we're going to have to spend up in Ryan Drive, all the money we're spending at the wastewater treatment plant, the money we're going to have to spend for the water line, the money we're going to have to spend for repairing and replacing water lines and streets and sidewalks in town, we're going to have to be very careful in how we spend our money, especially, and very careful in how we prepare the upcoming budget. And you're all aware of that. I just am repeating it to make me feel better. That's all I have.
Thank you, Commissioner Walker. Commissioner Warnick.
So Parks and Rec, we're in the spring, and it's been a whirlwind of activity over the last few weeks. I think tonight I apologize for being late. I was trying to get some last-minute stuff done at the dog park before we met today, because I'm looking at the weather report towards later this week, and I've got to get a bunch of dirt moved around and then stone in place before rain hits. So I'm kind of scrambling to get some things done, so I apologize. I at least showered before I came. You guys wouldn't appreciate it otherwise. I also kind of forgot the award from the Octorara Watershed Association. The town received an award for our environmental stewardship and for the project at the dog park, the stormwater ponds over there that are managing about 20 acres, treating about 20 acres of flow, and that was under then Commissioner Marion's tutelage, and then with the latest projects we're working on, the attempt to reduce the stormwater runoff and such on Biggs Highway, or I should say Queen Street, and behind the ball fields, try and reduce some of the flooding near the ball fields, things like that.
Where is that thing, by the way?
What's
You have
that?
at your house? The award?
It is. I haven't had a chance to get it to town hall yet. I keep forgetting it.
Thank you.
That's what I said. I forgot it. I meant to bring it tonight. Huh?
Great.
It looks great on my wall, right
Yeah,
next to
I
my
bet it
college
does.
my college diploma. It's fantastic.
I kept wondering where that thing was, too. I was like...
I was waiting for you to ask for it, just to give you a hard time.
Where's my award?
So we've been quite busy in the parks. We've had the Boy Scouts. I think the Boy Scouts cleanup was just before the last meeting. They had, matter of fact, I know it was. They had piled a significant amount of stuff they had dug out, and it took about 3 hours. I'm wearing the same suit, I think. Oh no, it's a different one. Okay.
Is that a politician's smile or not?
Right.
Look at that.
Thanks. It took us about 3 hours on Saturday morning to remove all that trash that the Boy Scouts previously had gathered from the woods. I mean, it was a significant amount. It was in tires alone, it was almost 1,400 pounds of tires, just tires. We got an away ticket for the dump truck. Okay, I'm not exactly sure how much
There's
is in the
probably
dump truck
at
yet.
least 100 milk crates. At least.
I mean, the dairy clearly
Used it as a disposal.
That was clearly the dairy's dump. I mean, there's no other way to put it. We easily removed, I'd say, a few tons of scrap metal. I mean, the scrap metal is actually all down there to be recycled, but we took, I think, somewhere in the range of 10 trailer loads of materials out, just from the 3 piles the Boy Scouts previously dug up, plus the additional that was removed. And there's still more to do down there. I mean, it's going to probably be a whole nother 2 or 3
And it's,
groups down there.
almost like a scavenger hunt because it's amazing. I found a 1970s TV down there, these milk crates, and then I found a 1990s Polaroid camera that was still able to flip up. And
If anybody needs
all
a
kinds of different stuff.
6-cylinder overhead valve head unit for a straight 6,
Yep,
we have one of those available.
it was there.
The whole head unit of
Engine?
an engine, yeah. Looks like a straight six. Well, it was definitely straight six, push rod, 2 valves per cylinder. So I'll see if I can get the exact make and model if anybody needs it. But I mean, it was amazing, the things that we dug out of that woods. And one trailer tire later, thank God for Can't Fix It Flat. I mean, like it's just. I mean, I can't even begin to describe how much of a difference it makes down there. It was really trashy looking, and it actually looks pretty good down there. I mean, it's starting to come together like a trail. There's a full loop in place now, so we've finally gotten a complete loop around in the park. So that's kind of the project at Veterans Park. The Boy Scouts should be starting his bridge here soon. We're hopefully we'll get a load of stone down there for him tomorrow and have the non-wetlands portion of the trail will be completed in June. The rest of it I'm not going to get into tonight. At Richardson Park, we, as the mayor spoke about, he managed to get a group of basketball players. I think it was basketball, right?
Yep.
That came in and did a pretty good job on painting and first sanding, and we removed a few pieces of wire brush from fingers and such, but they ultimately got everything sanded down and painted, and it looks really good.
Some of them left with more paint on them than
the equipment, yeah. And it's oil-based paint, so I don't know how they're going to get it off. It's probably still on them, I'm assuming. The tot swings are back up, but with our public works guys so jammed up, we're still in the process of trying to get the other swings back up. So hopefully we'll get those back up sometime this week. And
that's
in
it's right there.
yeah, and a related note, there's our team and I'm not sure, one of them's the mayor. So there he is. Okay. All these young guys, hard to say sometimes, but
Tell by the politician's smile there.
well, there's two of them that politicians smile. The one right behind him that looks like a future mayor. Yeah.
Guy with the baseball.
So, likewise, the sliding board for over there, we have it in stock, and again, it's just a matter of we've just got so many things going on. I mean, you hear Commissioner Auchenreith. I mean, I can't rightfully pull the public works guys off of keeping people's water on to install a sliding board. So we're trying to prioritize it, but it's be patient with us. With Mr. Thomas's family situation, we're trying to give him some time and space to handle that. So we are a little short-staffed right now, and as soon as we can, we've actually had some volunteers helping with some things. So we're I'm going to try and I might have some people that will help us get the sliding board installed. Maybe we'll try that. Although I think it might be an issue with the footing. Over at the dog park, the Boy Scout project is moving along really well. If anybody's been over there, there's a bridge in place. From the sidewalk to the boardwalk transition is in place. They removed 16 inches of dirt by hand, and I think they hit a well or something. I mean, we might be able to just gain water out of the sidewalk because it drained out from underneath the sidewalk. Well, I think it's still draining from underneath the sidewalk.
Yeah,
it's amazing how much water there is draining under that sidewalk. So we had to quickly scramble and get them some stone some additional stone to put down for their transition where the boardwalk makes contact with the ground. So we're getting there. They hopefully we'll have the poles in this week. I don't know if you had a chance to. Did you hear anything back on it?
I have not.
Okay, I'll follow up with you tomorrow. And then the decking, hopefully we'll get that here soon. So we'll be able to get them the rest of the supplies. And if so, then it might just be another couple weekends before the
Trail system down there.
before that section of the boardwalk and bridge are done. The Boy Scouts starting the environmental learning platform down close to the pond is supposed to start this weekend. So his footings are in place, so he's just going to start framing this weekend, and then we just need to get a scout to complete the section of boardwalk between the two. So next Eagle Scout that comes along, that'll be his project. So.
Commissioner Warnick?
Yes.
If you wanted to show the damage that the vandalism does to the slide.
And the vandalism was back in the fall. Winter kind of set in quickly, and by the time we went to get the sliding board ordered, they said it was too cold to install it. And the spiral sliding board would have been too difficult to install because of the age of the equipment. So they recommended we went with a straight sliding board, which was also significantly, it was about a third of the cost, actually a little less than that even. It was like 1,500 versus over 5,000. So again, as we've talked about the finances of the town, I mean, the straight sliding board may not be quite as much fun as a spiral sliding
appreciate it.
board, but I'm trying to be a good steward of the town's finances. It's also worth
Try it
noting
out
that
and tell us how much more fun it is.
Right.
we haven't, I mean, as of yet, even though we still have DNR grant money left for the trails at Veterans Park, we haven't spent a penny on that. That's been all done through volunteer efforts. We've spent to the tune of maybe $30 for stone at the dog park. That's all we've put into that. And we did spend a little bit of money on paint and such at Richardson Park, but it was still, 50, 60, I don't know what exactly it was, but it really was. We've really been trying to do things on an absolute shoestring budget in Parks and Rec. So I understand the difficulties the town has, and I still want to get things done, but we also have to prioritize water and streets and things like that over top of expensive things in Parks and Rec. So we're trying through donations and volunteer hours and things like that to still get projects accomplished, but really minimize the spending. So, and I think with that, that's all I can remember offhand.
Thank you, Commissioner Warnick. The next thing on the agenda is our next town meeting, which I believe we decided was going to be the 11th. Is that correct?
Sounds right.
The 11th of May, and that is going to be at 7 p.m.
Is that a Monday?
That's a Monday.
Yes.
Because of the Blue Rocks game on
Yep,
Tuesday.
because of Cecil County night. Yep.
Mr. Mayor, I have one thing that I left out. Planning and Zoning Board didn't meet last month. Myself and a couple other members were ill, so we didn't have enough for a quorum. So our next meeting will be May the 18th.
Okay. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
Move we adjourn.
A second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Adjourn. Thank you.